Welcome to the Big Scope. And today we're talking to Snehashish Bhattacharjee from Denave. So Snehashish, thank you so much for joining the show.
Thank you, and my pleasure to join up with you guys on the show.
So tell me a little bit about Denave. You guys have been around for 20 odd years, right? 1999, and you're in the sales area. But what do you do? Is it just sales as a service or?
Yes, so we've been around for about 19 years, and what we typically do is help customers achieve their sales objectives. We call it sales enablement. And sales enablement, as we define, is basically a process that takes care of the whole end-to-end sales process. And at each stage of the process, there is a service that we provide, starting from planning your sales all the way till execution and figuring out what really happened and how do you need to improve on that. At every stage, we have a service.
Okay, so let's role play a little bit here. Let's say I'm a Kirana store owner. I can somehow afford your services. I come to you. What do you do for me?
Okay, so typically the target audience that we focus on are the brands who have a need to reach out to the larger part of the market, and whether that's a Kirana store or a customer or an enterprise, and we have solutions for them to be able to reach out. So what I do for the Kirana store essentially is get the brand to him and help him, if the brand has a valuable product, increase his potential sales by getting him better options, by getting him better value propositions from the brand, and at the same time get the brand to expand or increase his mind share of the Kirana store and get more of his capital invested into his product.
Okay, so I mean today you can use a lot of tech, right? There's a lot of online methods of getting sales done. But 19 years ago when you started, what were do you have to go on ground? Do you literally have to put up posters? How did it work back then?
Okay, so quickly to take a step back, what we do is facilitate the whole process of sales. So that how it used to happen 19 years back versus how it happens now, the basics are still the same. What has changed is the tools and the methods that you use and the time that you take to land that strategy on the ground. So 19 years back, sales was all about a lot of hard work, a lot of research work, a lot of relationship management, and then eventually a lot of positioning your product and finally negotiating and closing a deal. All of that remains even now. However, 19 years back, the way you would do it is you would do a lot of groundwork on your own. You would talk to gatekeepers on your own. You would have to go visit customers. You will have to do a lot of cold calls to figure out who are your potential customers. After you do that, you do a lot of homework by probably the amount of data access to you was very little. So you would probably get very little secondary data, maybe from some kind of reports that would have been listed, for which they would have to really go around to the ROCs and get the data. There was no online medium to go and get the data.
Correct.
And post that, you would have to figure out yourself what that data means, and then figure out by going and talking to people across the table, what really are they looking for, and then position your product there. That's how 19 years back sales used to work. All of that is required even now. However, access to data, ability to reach virtually a customer, and also amount of analysis that you can do based on the various tools that you have, and therefore figure out trends, potential, probability, propensity has improved so much more that the time taken 19 years back to do that and the time taken to do that now has changed by almost about 100th times. I probably would require, if I'm an effectively technology invested company, I would probably require 100th of that time that I would have taken 19 years back.
Basically what you're saying is today in 1 hour you can do what you used to take 100 hours to do back in 1999.
Exactly.
So I'm glad you brought up that idea, because in terms of access to data, of course, that's the internet. That's what the internet has brought to everyone. But in terms of utilizing that data, comes to the basis of what we're talking about today is AI. How do you use AI to make your business successful rather than get replaced by it? So how are you guys using AI and any other technology to analyze all this information?
Okay, so like I said, there are two perspectives to AI. One is the consumption perspective, and another one is the service that you provide to your customers and how do you leverage AI. And the first part of the service and the way we are looking at it is how do I improve my offering and increase output out of that offering faster for my customers. So the first place is how do I identify my next customer? And like I was talking about those data points, you have access to minimal data through your regular options, but the data exists. Yes, the data exists somewhere there in the information highway through media, social media forums, through chat forums, through blog forums, or through public domain registered domain sites. So we are leveraging artificial intelligence to first, basically machine learning, to first put together an extraction and then a business rule model to identify if I have, let's say, 250 million entities across the globe. How close to that 250 million entity information base can I come to by scraping data across multiple and legally scraping data across multiple options and then putting together my business rules to fill the gaps, and the gaps all the way up to, let's say, financial profile of the organization, IT profile of the organization, contact profile of the organization, all of that, which gives me a base to work on.
So to be clear, what you're using is using AI to scrape the internet and try and get information on companies that aren't necessarily listed on an ROC or anything like that.
Exactly. See, the ROC listed information is accessible to everyone, right? If that was an option that could work, you would not have the Hoovers, the DNB Hoovers, or the Discovery Orgs of the world sitting out in the US and doing 130 million, 150 million kind of turnover purely on providing information of entities that are available. And it's done more easily in the US versus maybe in Indonesia, India, or the emerging markets. So we are focusing on that part. Yes, which is basically what we call sourcing of the next customer information. Second part, the way we are leveraging machine learning, to cut a long story short, is leveraging trends and patterns in the sales process or in the sales data of every organization and mapping that to these white space databases and figuring out a pattern which allows them to understand what could be probability of purchase of a customer.
So basically you're saying use AI on one hand to find the companies and try to figure out which ones can be clients, which ones can be customers. And on the other hand, you try and use AI to scrape customer data to see who would be willing to buy whatever product or service your client is selling.
Yes, so correctly, like you said, I am linking people to an organization and trying to put together the whole organization data. And then I'm using business rules, leveraging machine learning to identify patterns which tells me, based on which tells me what financial profile, IT profile, or let's say technology profile or product profile the company has. Leverage a machine learning to link entities to people, because you have people and entities both across multiple forums on the internet, and then use trends and patterns and business rules to fill the gaps in the entity's information to make it a complete contactable database of entities. And then I use machine learning to match similar company sales patterns to companies that have not bought to them, and therefore build up a probability model.
Okay. So then just let me know, last question. You guys, obviously, there are a lot of people in your field and other fields that are worried about AI taking jobs. So this is a bit of a more general question than a sales question. Do you see AI as a threat or a tool that is going to be assimilated in the tech industry going forward?
No, I think it's not at all a threat. It is actually a huge opportunity for more jobs. If you have followed the patterns of every industrial revolution, the primary challenge has always been the existing skill versus required skill. That is one part, which means you need to upgrade your skill sets to go on to the next level of jobs that you would get with the present evolution of technology. But more importantly, and I don't know whether that is being really looked upon that way, after having run an organization for 19 years, I realized there is space for experience as well as creativity. So the evolution of technology will leverage a lot of creativity to get your platforms and tools in front of you. But after that, you still need domain expertise. You need experience expertise to be able to decide the indicator that you're getting. Machine learning will give me great indicators, but I will still need to take a business call to decide that indicator is actually in line with what I want. And therefore, see, if that was the case, which means a new technology will take away jobs, then all startups would have by now killed all your enterprise organizations. And Amazon would not go and take over those, mypampers.com and all that. Walmart would not come back and take over a Flipkart. Or let's say a Google will not come back and buy an Apigee. The startup brings in the creativity, the technology brings in the creativity and the next opportunity. But you still need experience to build scale. So I think I don't see any issue of one new jobs and therefore jobs getting depleted. And also I don't see an issue of existing experienced employees. There is no need for them to feel threatened as long as they understand their business well. Because these are only going to be more productivity tools for them to improve their turnaround time, their decision making capability, as long as they look at it correctly.
But what about, we're talking about the experienced guys, but what about the new guys, the freshers, straight out of college, you've gone to an IIT or even a lower ranked engineering college? What about those guys? Is AI taking away their potential job opportunities?
See, if you see about 30 years back or 40 years back in India, every parent used to tell their child to become a government IAS officer or a civil servant. Not everyone became a civil servant or a government officer. Did that mean the rest of the population didn't have a job? I don't think so. After that, it became our time, it was engineering and medicine. A lot of people did not become an engineer or a doctor. Did that mean that they didn't have a job option? I don't think so. And now with this, see, there is always a coveted job and there is a based on your potential job. If you want a coveted job, you upgrade your skill. If you are not of that caliber, then you get an available job. So I don't think that's a challenge even for freshers today. If you see some of these reports in the World Economic Forums that are getting presented, Accenture report that they presented about potential of jobs, they are saying if you adopt technology at the pace that you are required to, you will probably see a 30% increase, 38% increase in revenues, and you will see a 10 to 11% increase in employment. And that employment increase is not from older people, that's more from the freshers that are going to come in. Only thing is you need to reorient your skill sets and reorient your job focus to take advantage of that.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Snehashish.
My pleasure completely.
So that's been Snehashish Bhattacharjee of Denave. Sorry, I'm still pronouncing that wrong. Denave.